Ready? Play.
My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hello, guys. Yeah, Brazy, welcome as well. You are first on the chat, of course. I don't know if John will be with us today. At least he's not as a producer, but I will try to show at least maybe the draws, especially when we're talking about Shanghai later. And Brazy says that this is the second best match on the ATP Tour this year, Alcaraz Sinner today. And actually, yeah, Mario, let's start talking about that. And do you agree? And also, what do you think is the best match of the ATP Tour, according to Brazy then? Because I'm not really sure.
Me neither. I don't know. He probably, I don't know, because probably thinking about, I remember the Olympic final being very good, but I don't know if it's better than this one. I don't know.
That's what Brazy was suggesting, apparently. Yes. I'm not sold on that.
Well, just talking about this final, first of all, it's been a very good match. I mean, there have been times during the match where one of the players has had a little dip, but overall, I feel like we had some great moments. They both showed great things. For example, I don't know how Sinner returned to save set point in the first set tiebreak, how Alcaraz has played the 2 points on return when he got 0-3 in the final set tiebreak, for example, and generally the whole final set tiebreak. And overall, I think there have been very, very good moments. It's been a great match. I think that we are now in the situation where we have two players that are clearly above the rest of the field. And so it's been nice to have had, a finally between them on the ATP Tour after that they both, have won they won all the Grand Slams this year, two titles each. So it's been, great also to see them facing each other in a final. And fortunately, we also got a very hard-fought one. So it's been great because we've had some very high-quality moments. There have been some ups and downs, but overall, I feel like we've been just fine, and it's been a very good match to watch. So yeah, I've deeply enjoyed. Talking about where does it rank? I don't know. I'm trying to think, because this week we had many great matches. For example, it's been a very fun week, I have to say. One of the best actually this year. Talking about the two, the ATP Tour. And so yeah, very pleased about the way this tournament has ended.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it last time that this tournament was kind of like one huge setup for the Alcaraz Sinner final. We did get it, and because of that, Beijing was kind of reliant on this match delivering. It certainly did. I think to me, this maybe was the best one. Even I don't think the Olympic final is close. I think that there are certain other 3-hour finals on the ATP Tour this year that come close. And actually, both of them were won by Arthur Fils, and we're going to talk about it soon. Of course, there's also the five-setter that they had in the Roland Garros semis, Alcaraz and Sinner. It was an important match, more important than this one.
Yeah,
however, most certainly, I believe that this was much more like consistent quality-wise than the Roland Garros semi. Of course, we know that they both had their issues in terms of getting into Roland Garros. This time, both were kind of like on top of their game or close to it. And it showed in terms of the quality going there. It's sort of like, from start to finish, I think it showed. As you said, we kind of had to wait for a final between them for quite some time. It was only the second time they met after UMAC 2022, so over 2 years. 5 previous meetings were in semis. If they are going to be number 1 and number 2, which ultimately is where they kind of should be, they've won all 4 slams this year, 2 each, then we're not going to be getting them meeting in semis, but in the finals. And hopefully every single time it's as special as this one. And yeah, there are definitely some storylines coming out of this one today. Because I was doing the watch along with Eddie, and then John also came in at the end, came in at the start. And basically we were kind of mid-match, we were saying that this will hurt Alcaraz more if he loses it, because he was always the one, with chances. He was always the one leading in the first set, 5-3, 30-15. He was the one leading 6-4 in the first set tiebreak. He was the one 4-2 up in the third. Also, there was that 3-1, 40-15 on return in the third set, which could have ended the match right there as well. And in the end, he actually had to come back himself from 0-3 in the tiebreak, with Sinner having that ridiculous tiebreak record of late. Was it like 18 out of 19 or something like that?
Yeah.
So do you also think that this was maybe a slightly more important win for Carlos than it would have been for Yannick?
Well, for Yannick, for me, it would have been maybe very important in terms maybe of the head-to-head, the rivalry, something like that. But if we talk about the importance of getting this title into their hands, even without thinking about the match, I think it was even more important maybe for Carlos, just because, Yannick was, of course, coming from a big run, winning 1,000 and the slam back-to-back. So it's, I thought before the final that, that it could have been more important for Carlos to get his hands on this trophy. You can talk for 30 seconds.
Okay. No, certainly. There is going to be a very interesting question from Brazy that I'm going to ask you to answer in these, after 30 seconds in the chat. Also, Ghosty had one about Koboli. Do we all think we can start expecting Koboli to make in more quarters and semis going forward? Hopefully, but semis seems to be at least like above 250. Seems to be a bit of a struggle for now. The 2 matches he had against Medvedev, not very close, but he's made a big leap this year. So I'm positive. I remain positive. And yes, Mario, if you could tell us this is very interesting to me. How is Yannick being treated in the Italian media right now? Obviously, this is related to the doping scandal.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to disappoint probably a little bit crazy. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Actually, I don't have a lot to say because Italian media, actually, in Italian media, it hasn't really changed the way Yannick is talked about, and it's almost everything good press. So nothing really has happened, after that in terms of the way they talk. Of course, they've talked about the thing, explaining, trying to, imagine what can happen and everything. But no, there hasn't been a change. So
okay,
that's it.
Ghosty, regarding your question, like here we had Alcaraz and Sinner, right, winning. So these are guys who have already won a lot. In Tokyo, we had Fils, who has already won an ATP 500. So I'm not really sure who would be like struggling to translate it into big titles. And also, during the regular season, what does it even mean? It's the regular season, right? We've got a lot of these swings, and I think that Asia is generally very strong. Like they're in the fields in Beijing, Tokyo, Shanghai. I think the players that are winning this are just the ones that are winning any other events. Felix actually doesn't have that much Asian swing success, to be honest. It's just indoors, really. It's just when he comes back to Europe. We have some I don't know. Never mind. I hear something when I'm talking, or started at least. Anyway, yes. Carlos Alcaraz, when it comes to this year, has now, of course, a 3-0 record against Yannick Sinner. They also have 2 titles each at Grand Slam level. So is there actually a conversation right now when it comes to the player of the year? Or is it still like hands down, Yannick, most titles, most points? Bye-bye.
Well, there is, I think, conversation. I would still think that, I would still probably take Yannick's here. I think that, that difference in a little bit more of consistency and, in the points and the ranking, it is showing that probably makes that slight different. But it's close, definitely. They've just distanced themselves from the rest. Alcaraz, not maybe from Zverev in terms of points, but if we consider the results and the peak results especially, he has also distanced himself from the rest of the field this year. And for me, it's a close affair. I would still say Yannick slightly, especially because he's also very close to clinch year-end number 1. It's difficult for me right now to imagine him. He would need some shock losses, at least in the two Masters that he will play. Alcaraz won't go to play either Basel or Vienna. So it won't have also that chance to kind of, add maybe potentially 500 points. So, I would say that there is a conversation. I would still, take Yannick's here slightly just because of this small difference, But it's a close affair for sure.
And what else do we have? I mean, Carlos also became the first player to win ATP 500s on a lot of surfaces. Like that's, well, I mean, it's a good stat. It sounds good, but then again, since 2015, it's only that we have ATP 500s on grass. There is a question from Ghosty as well. Let's say China Open. I can still hear something when I'm saying. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. I cannot hear you very well, but I don't know if it's my computer or.
Can you hear what I'm talking about or no?
No, I hear everything, but I hear a little bit.
No. I mean, I know you can hear me, but can you hear the noise I'm getting or not?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same. I don't really know how to explain. I kind of listen. Okay. I don't know some.
I don't understand, but anyway, never mind then. Okay. Oh, maybe it's better now. Maybe not. Ghosty, I can imagine that you can hear it. I was just thinking Mario does too. And I can still hear it. Well, that's not amazing, but well, we have to go. Right now, we have to kind of go with it. Ghosty is also asking the 5-set event, China Open. Is my speaker pointed toward my microphone? No, that's not the circumference. Like my problem is me. Like when I'm talking, and StreamYard actually cancels the echo very well. Well, it is what it is. I know that this is only when I'm speaking, but that also means that this is not an issue with my speaker, I suppose. Because when I'm speaking, there's no speaker, right? Like the speaker noise from my computer isn't really a thing. Anyway, let's maybe try to do something about it in a second. However, 5-set match, China Open final. What do you think would have happened? That's Ghosty's question here somewhere.
Well, if I have to answer it, I don't know. Alcaraz has a phenomenal record in 5-setters, but it's a bit of a guess right now, because I don't know, maybe, Yannick is just fine physically. He's feeling well after that 3rd set, and maybe he can keep going toe to toe. So I don't know. It's a bit of a guess, just for historical, career record. I would probably go with Carlos, and especially because he won that tiebreak, and maybe at times we've seen that when it's kind of 1-set all, and the 4th and the 3rd set goes to a tiebreak, maybe the 4th tend to go to the player who's 2-1 ahead. But yeah, it's just a guess for me. I mean, I don't have, of course, real, maybe Carlos, for example, if he or maybe doesn't have that reaction in that third set tiebreak, if it's not like an in or out moment. And so maybe Yannick wins that tiebreak, and then it becomes different, the situation. I don't know. Many things could have happened, of course. So yeah, that's my answer, more or less.
Yeah, I think for me, still a noise. I mean, for me, it would pretty much be this is getting pretty rough. I mean,
Do
I
you
don't
have
know.
do you have a way to talk into something else?
What do
Like,
you
for
mean?
example, directly to the laptop or the computer? No.
I mean, I can, but I don't know if that's ever really going to be a consideration here. I can change the microphone to what I have in my.
Okay.
Yeah, this is now probably. Yeah, that's still right. There's still the noise, I guess, right? I don't know. Definitely yes. It can't be on my end. Like literally can't be. I don't really see how it is. Not to bother some. I mean, yeah, we kind of have to keep going.
That's what we're going to do. What I was going to say is that the matches that Alcaraz and Sinner played this year, it's getting more bothersome when I start talking like a lot. Anyway, in the matches that they had this year, I think Carlos has shown like a better ability to adjust mid-match. In terms of his Indian Wells run, it was against Sinner. It was that slicing through his back and then kind of setting up the forehand for himself. At Roland Garros, it was the moonballing and mixing up the height. And I think obviously it's also his more complete skill set that allows him to do these sort of changes, whereas for Yannick it kind of stays the same. And physically, I mean, I would have trusted Carlos as well. That's what I would say. Ghosty is also asking you about the Sinner first serve inconsistency and his percentages varying from first set to the third.
Well, I mean, it's definitely something that can be better. His serve has already improved a lot over the past year and a half. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will manage to find the right solution. Maybe use the slice a little bit more, something like that. Vary a little bit more with the serve. But I'm pretty sure he will work on it, and he will find his solutions, like every player, and especially the top players, have done throughout their career. So yeah, for sure he can add some variety on that shot, especially the first serve, and I think he will be fine in some time. So I'm pretty confident about that. And the hip issues, I think so, meaning that it's not really bothering him right now. It's been a lot of matches where this issue hasn't been bothering him. Yeah, we know that we've seen something in the match against Zverev, if I remember correctly, in Cincinnati, but in the end, the day after, he was perfectly fine. So I've seen some work they do with, especially with Paniki this week. I've seen some clip where they were trying to hit without stressing the hips too much, and trying to adjust a little bit of these things on his movements. But yeah, I think it's not a big issue for him right now. So let's hope it will stay the same.
Yeah, Brazy, you just got banned for talking about Qin Zheng on the ATP Weekly. Bye-bye. Anyway, of course, yeah, another match where Anisimova just breaks down after winning the first set against her physically. Daniel Medvedev, let's talk about him. I actually I have a very specific question to ask.
Yeah.
He said after the Alcaraz match that, like, I don't really see how I could beat him. If he's playing like this, I don't really see how I could beat him. I don't really see what I could do. And yeah, what do you think of that sort of mindset from Daniil? And is it going to help him hang with guys like Alcaraz?
Okay, so you asked me about Daniil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that I was thinking about this topic before the ATP Weekly, actually, because in some way it's great that we got this final, that we see these players playing each other and everything. But at the same time, as good as it be to see these players stepping up, entering the next level, there's also, of course, I was also looking at the other side and look that the other guys are very far right now, and even somebody like Medvedev, who is a Grand Slam champion, has been number one. He's also been in a lot of Grand Slam finals, so he's a great player, a fantastic player. But yeah, right now he feels very far. He's lost 6 out of the last 7 matches against both of them. Of course, beating, that win has come in a Grand Slam, so, it's for sure an important win to get. But yeah, I mean, also, I saw him, very relaxed. And in the end, he hasn't lost like 7-6 in the third, where you get, okay, I lost today, but I feel like my level is close, that I've played an even match, that I'm playing, well enough I've troubled him. Apart from the central game of the first set, where there've been a lot of breaks and breakbacks, so Daniil was hanging in the score, the level has been far, and I wouldn't be really happy with that, because especially if I'm a player who is right now behind them, but I'm still, a player who has been able to put his hands over a Grand Slam and to be consistent at the top of the ranking. And so I should be, I should have that willingness to reach their level, or to try my best to beat and to trouble them. And even if I should believe, because if I don't believe it, who's gonna believe it? And also, how can I do also producing that kind of level on the court, stepping up? Maybe I played not well the entire tournament, but I get to that match and I step up against this player. Maybe I still don't win the match, but I make myself especially feel that I'm close to that level. And right now there's not this feeling.
Yeah, personally not a fan of that sort of like very, chilly about it and kind of, I mean, I lost. I don't really know how I could beat him. I mean, you got to know how you can beat him. Otherwise, you're not going to. Otherwise, you're just going to lose to him 100 billion times. And yeah, probably not the right thing to do, although I obviously appreciate kind of the realistic side of it as well. Sometimes you just have to accept stuff. But if you accept stuff, you're probably not going to like break out of it. No, Ashley, Sasha didn't play Beijing. He was sick. He's still sick, apparently. He's already in Shanghai and kind of still saying he is a little, getting tired a bit easier than usual. But, he had pneumonia or something like that. Anyway, I think one more player we definitely need to talk about in regards to, reporting that Zverev was in the hospital. I mean, he was definitely sick, and I think he was after Laver Cup. Yeah, he was in the hospital. Yeah. It was like pneumonia or something like that, yeah. Rublev also had like some surgery recently. A lot of hospitals and on the ATP tour. And yes, Zverev plays the winner of Monica Bellucci and Billie Harris, absolutely. Anyway, we need to talk about one more player, I think, and obviously the brilliant run of Buyun Chauketa, the incredible man whose name is spelled with, it's just one name, but here we have two because the ATP and the draws and the scoreboards, it doesn't allow for that really. But, I mean, everyone was looking at maybe some different Chinese players, perhaps these players who did well in Chengdu or Hangzhou, like Zhang or Shang. And yet, Buyun Chauketa stood strong. He beat Yuncheng Shang, he beat Lorenzo Musetti, he beat Andrei Rublev, and he also did pretty well against Yannick Sinner.
Great stuff. I mean, it's been even more enjoyable to watch than what it's been in Hangzhou. It was, yeah, Hangzhou. It was his tournament between the two, and because of course, you know, also getting that tennis to get a transition to a even bigger tournament like Beijing and to play even, you know, better ranked guys like Musetti, who's having a great second part of the year, winning many matches. It's not really easy to beat him nowadays. And Rublev also. Rublev has had, you know, kind of a weird year, but you know, it's hard to beat him. It's, you know, he really played amazing. I don't know. I still have the question inside me if this is very repeatable, even outside of the China environment. You know, all this hype and confidence you get maybe by playing this good level in front of also of, you know, your fans in your country, and so you get to face these guys without that pressure because you just want to, I mean, not without pressure, the pressure is there, but you know, with that mindset that you really want to enjoy everything because it's big opportunity for you, and that maybe in his case helps him to play better better tennis, you know, to play at a good level. I don't know if, you know, this is repeatable week after week, but I would like to see him, of course, you know, backing up these great wins. Now his ranking is very good because he's, I think, inside the top 70 even, because it was 69 live after beating Rublev. So maybe a couple of players have surpassed him, but he's there. And so yeah, he now gets, of course, a lot of opportunities. With this ranking, you can enter the 2-week Masters, for example. So if he can stay in at this level of ranking, he will get many opportunity to gain experience, and this can only help him. So let's see how it goes from now. But you know, it's also the moment, of course, to enjoy what is done in this week. And now we have another big tournament coming up, and let's see how we will play.
Yeah, I like the birth of Buyun Choket, the entertainer, as well. The way that he was able to kind of start enjoying the crowd even more and basically interact with them so much when he played Rublev or Sinner. I think like both of these guys. I know we've like drawn this comparison a few times that Sinner and Rublev, they play a pretty similar game. Like super strong of both wings, pretty physical as well, but at the same time not much variety, and that's really good for Bu. Like he's so steady, he's so physical, he's so strong. Basically, when it's just that sort of like blow for blow battle, then he can definitely maintain it with these guys. And he also started believing it during the week. But yeah, I absolutely have no clue if he like if we take him now to Paris Bercy, or if we take him now to Antwerp or something like that. Yeah, I just have no clue how he's going to look really. Indoors, the last time we saw him, either Davis Cup in September or in March, he was pretty awful. But I don't know. It's going to be certainly a very different challenge to what he's doing right now in these massive Chinese events with the huge crowd. Is Zverev the best player right now without a slam? Pretty confidently,
Yeah,
right?
pretty
Like
close.
he's not the best player to win a slam maybe ever. That probably would be someone else. But like, yeah,
In a long
right
time,
now,
probably, yes.
yeah, it's tough to find anyone who would be like even in the same conversation. I mean, obviously it's Tsitsipas, but nah, not really. Anyway, Yogi, when it comes to Yannick showing signs of being physically hampered, not more than usual. I mean, at times he would grab something. He had pickle juice in the third set, but nah, it's not really. It's not
No,
enough
no,
for
no.
it to be a topic, really. It was, of course, we were looking at it from time to time because yeah, it's Yannick. So like anytime he's losing this year, people just look for injuries, and most of the time they're right. But yeah, I don't think it was really an important topic today, and it didn't really contribute all that much to the result. Yeah, otherwise, I think we could just move on to Tokyo, to be honest. In Tokyo, of course, we had, well, yesterday, we had Arthur Fils picking up the title, and that is obviously his second ATP 500, even second ATP 500 this year after Hamburg, where he beat the aforementioned Alexander Zverev in the final. And well, I mean, what a tournament it was. We said that this was going to be exciting, maybe even more so than Beijing. In the end, the final kind of made up for a lot of the kind of weak points of the Beijing draw. But Tokyo was just wild, and it was especially good because of one man, Arthur Fils, who in the quarters and in the semis was like blowing his chances left and right in order to make his matches more dramatic. And then when he was like completely out of steam, he was actually like a clutch god in the final.
Yeah, absolutely. He was, could have won more easily than how he did the quarterfinal and the semifinal. And in the final, it could have, lost in straight sets because, of course, the break point saved and that important moment in the second set, but especially the match point where, he produced some magic really to save it. A fantastic defense. And then the passing shot with a backhand on match point down. It was amazing. And then he grew on confidence, played really well, and in the third set he was maybe the one who could have had his advantage earlier but didn't get it. But in the end, he got that break at the end in the 8th game and then just served for the match, managing to close it out. And what to say, it's been a fantastic run, fantastic tournament overall, lots of great and entertaining matches. And talking about Fils, he's just proving himself on the biggest stages, and especially he's showing signs of what he can do if he keeps growing, because what is done in these 2 500 tournaments, it's been great. Maybe this run is more impressive even if beating Zverev on clay in a final 3 hours and a half. It's not easy stuff to do. So also that win was incredibly impressive, and especially for how many break points he had to save. I remember Zverev had so many break points and kind of chances to get leads and to win that match. And so unbelievable. Of course, the question, he is only 20, so we don't have for sure to rush on this. The question, of course, is the consistency, when he's going to play maybe at a better level, week in, week out, in order to be able also to keep growing in the ranking and to keep, getting to the next stage, the next level. But, he's showing in this tournament that he has something special in himself. So,
yeah, Fils' third ATP title, Yogi. First was, of course, 2023 Lyon last year. Just like Petri Pericard, he made his first title there. And then, of course, Hamburg a couple of months ago. He beats Alexander Zverev. And in fact, there have been only 3 ATP finals this year that went over 3 hours. And 2 of them were won by Arthur Fils. The other one we already talked about today, Alcaraz and Sinner. So that maybe shows you even further how special this week was when it comes to the ATP circuit. I feel like a lot of these double ATP 500 weeks are really good, but this one, especially with the finals, it just seems like it really, really upped the ante sort of on the week. And Fils was just so entertaining all week basically. And beating Fritz, beating Shelton, beating Rune, beating Humbert. This is 4 top 20 wins. And he also beat Berrettini, but that was, of course, via retirement. That was kind of a different story. But in the end, it's just crazy that he ends up taking this, because he was dead in at least 3 matches. He was just completely out of energy already. And in the same way was the most clutch player and also the most unclutch player, basically.
According to you, I just wanted to.
But thank you, I guess. It was just John clipping me responding to a question in the chat. But thank you, I guess.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you this. We've been watching all this, a lot of these, guys born since after 2000, and according to you, right now, who is, let's say, the third best, or the best besides, of course, the 2 guys who have won the slams? I know that there are many players who have, there are players who have some accomplishments that Arthur doesn't have. and Arthur also maybe hasn't had also this year that consistency to back up these big runs. But I don't know, for what you are watching right now, also the level they are playing, the level they are they have been able to show in some match, who would you put just behind Alcaraz and Sinner?
No, I understand this question very well. Someone, in fact, recently posted it to me. I mean, for years it was supposed to be Rune, right? Everyone thought that was going to be Rune. And, well, I mean, I like Fields' chances to kind of overcome him. It's obviously just about the consistency for him. He's also been, like, completely, like, helpless in some matchups. Arnaldi, Umber up until this final, which also adds the amazing nature of this win. Like, in fact, I think even the Umber matchup was a bit more oppressive for him than the Arnaldi one. You could see it in the final, like how much he's forced to defend, how he cannot really like use his offensive weapons too much. So it becomes a grind, and he was super tired too. But he reacted so much better than in the last matches against Arnaldi, for example. Everyone thought that was going to be Rune. Fields is a contender, but if you tell me that the next guy to kind of join Alcaraz, Sinner, and sort of meet them consistently will be Fonseca, for example, I wouldn't disagree. Like, of course, this is basically a wild guess stage at this point. But yeah, I mean, we don't really have a proper counterpart yet, it seems. Like when Rune is playing Alcaraz or Sinner, he doesn't look horrible generally, but he just doesn't get to play them that often, even recently.
Yeah.
What would be a good progression for Fields over the next 15 months, says Matthew? Top 10 at some point, slam quarter at least, maybe semi. Like, I feel like a slam quarter would be a bit of a must if we want to say that a good progression has been like achieved. Is top 10 sort of a must have? Maybe, but yeah, I would say like top 10 Grand Slam quarter. That's solid. Brazy even going further. Brazy says Fields is a slam contender 2025. Is Fields playing Brisbane? What the hell is that question, Ghosty? I mean, Brisbane entry list won't be until like December, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. A slam contender in 2025 probably right now still doesn't, really seem, realistic. But yeah, he's playing so well, and the most important thing that makes me, of course, like his chances, to get into that top 10 and also get better in Grand Slams is, just the way he plays his game under pressure, and at least when he's in the zone, he will be in the zone more often. The way he still try to go for it, and yeah, he trusts himself to be able to be back to use those chances. This week we have seen an incredible showing. I also honestly thought after the quarterfinal against Shelton, things started not looking amazingly well physically. So I also thought, who knows, after that match, I was like, let's see how he holds up, if he's able to play two other difficult matches this way, and he did it, and that's also a great sign of his also physically ability, which I already knew that they were great, but to do this, to pull this off this week was fantastic.
Yeah, Ghosty, I'm laughing because it was just kind of random, It's like if you asked me, is Fields going to play Los Cabos? Something like that. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that Brisbane brought Dimitrov back to life. Of course, it was his first title in ages, but that was already after the ATP 1000 final in Paris and also ATP 1000 Shanghai semis. So yeah, probably not quite like that. But yeah, I have no clue what Arthur Fields will be playing in the first week of the season. Anyway, let's talk about Ugo Humbert, who kind of missed a fantastic opportunity for a massive story here. In that, he could have been the first player to win his first 7 ATP Tour finals. Both Gulbis and Krijan lost their 7. So did Ugo Humbert. But I mean, all in all, it's still, of course, a great week. The Tokyo courts, I feel like, suited him very, very well. Do you actually think he's got many regrets in the final? Like, did he choke? Because there's a lot of talk about that on Twitter, and I'm not sure I really agree.
Yeah, I've lost him. I don't know if it's me. Okay, no,
Oh,
okay.
you
Well, I mean, Humbert, it's, we know that he has a very high, he can express a very high level. He, let's not forget that he himself has already won 2 500 tournaments. So, he's had some, important title, let's say, even if not, masters or something like this. And yeah, I mean, for sure, something can be for him to try get better results at Grand Slams, because he hasn't had many runs, even like a second week. I'm not talking maybe about a semifinal, but yeah, he hasn't had many consistency at that level. Overall, a great week. He's moving well also in the ranking, is well inside the top 20, and he deserves it because he can play really well. He is also someone who is an uncomfortable opponent to a lot of players, also because of being lefting and this trajectory that he can find. So it's also a nice player to watch because of these different things he can bring on the court. And so yeah, I think more or less all positives. I mean, yeah, he had a match point, he couldn't convert it. It was a close final, he lost it, but as we have learned, nobody wins his first 7 finals, so it's fine. 6-1, it's still a great record. So yeah, I think it's something that it could have been a story if it had happened, but of course it's not a story now.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, it's actually the Martin Klijan curse rather than the Ernest Gulbis one, because St. Petersburg was a month earlier than Stockholm in 2018. Nurlan, I do not know anything regarding this. Also, I think from Tokyo we should talk about one more player, and he lost early. And I want to talk about Hubert Hurkacz for a brief moment, because right after this loss to Jack Draper, he actually decided that he's out of Shanghai, where he was defending the title.
Yeah.
So he's giving himself a lot more time to rehabilitate the knee. And yeah, just wondering something about your your comment about that, maybe how he performed in Tokyo as well. But certainly if he skipped Shanghai, it seems like it's very serious.
Yeah, that's also why I don't know if something has happened maybe in Tokyo, because I think if you plan the Asians week, maybe you plan it entirely, or yeah, I don't know, it's been for sure yeah, it looks serious, of course, because skipping a Masters, especially a Masters where you are the defending champion and where you would need a great result, also to try the miracle of getting those points you need to get in touch towards the 8th place in the race, because he is a bit far right now. Yeah, for sure it's something serious, because if not, this choice wouldn't have made any sense. You are the defending champion of an important tournament, and I'm pretty sure you really would love to play and to go there and try your best to defend your title. So yeah, for sure it's worrying, both his situation, also De Minaur. Let's see if De Minaur will play again this year. Was very unfortunate situation also for him, because he was having a great year, was in a very good place to try to reach the ATP finals, but he has had this setback. So yeah, it's tough. of course, it's been, rough showing in Tokyo, and I mean, it's understandable if the issue is that he has its still not really healed. Then of course it's the right solution, of course, to take the time that he needs, because he still has time ahead in his career. So healing completely is, I think, the priority should be for him, in order to try his best also in the next seasons, and try his best in order to avoid any further problems.
Yeah, I think that obviously he had a similar knee procedure as Novak, and Novak was moving pretty poorly at Wimbledon, especially in the final. And Hurkacz, when he came back, is like exactly the same, covering his forehand corner. At least this is not improving. Like literally every single week he is moving like that. Ghosty, there were a lot of clues. Hubert Hurkacz, the defending champion. That's why we were talking about that. Anyway, yeah, basically, I mean, he's still moving like Novak in the Wimbledon final, which means that, well, then he is not really getting better. So he's going to have to work on it. And I think that, needless to say, after how he played against Draper, yeah, it's necessary. I think I even suggested after the US Open that, like, Hurkacz has to think whether he doesn't need to be, taking a longer break. I thought maybe that month was going to be enough, but in the end, obviously, it wasn't. And yeah, I think we'll spend the last...
Somebody who hasn't withdrawn yet, from Shanghai is Berrettini. So probably this is a good sign for him. Maybe it was also a bit precautionary, who knows, to decide to retire.
No. It was not precautionary. Like, he was not able to play. He was literally like unable to move.
Regardless, I don't know. It's probably, for sure, it's a good sign, meaning that he's trying. There's a chance he can play if he's still there in the draw. So let's see.
I'll actually show it to you, Matthew. I mean, I'll actually show the race to Turin maybe on the screen, because I'm kind of...
De Minaur, it's tough for him now, actually.
Yeah, there is something I kind of want to point to, and well, my computer obviously is kind of lagging because we are doing the stream. But what I'm trying to say is
I read the comment. That's why, because Matthew said, I wonder if De Minaur will make Turin, and so I thought.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that the players below Djokovic and De Minaur, they are kind of flopping. And provided that, for example, Novak wouldn't win a match in Shanghai, or Novak would decide not to play the ATP finals, which is also possible. Like, I'm not convinced all of these fellows actually can get to the points that Alex has right now. I think it's technically possible for Alex de Minaur to not play until the ATP finals and still be in the ATP finals. Like, all of these, I don't see it, Dimitrov, Paul, Tsitsipas.
It's difficult for them, for sure. Let's see. Because, first of all, I wonder if De Minaur will play again this year. He's in the entry list for Basel, he will be probably also for Paris. But yeah, I wonder if he will be able, of course, to play again. I mean, he still has been able to do something okay at the US Open, because he matched his best slam result in the quarterfinal. Then, he had a setback, so he's had to take other time off. And let's see, I got a bit also. I mean, I know it can happen, but De Minaur also out of the initial nominees for the Davis Cup. It's kind of shocking, because knowing De Minaur, how often he plays for Australian team competitions. But yeah, let's see. For sure, if he decided to sign for Basel, even if I know for him it's mandatory because he hasn't played this week. So, well, let's see if he will be able to. And Djokovic, I don't know. It's a weird situation, because something inside me is like, seriously, Novak doesn't want to play in Turin. But yeah, that's what he said, that he doesn't have that much motivation about it. But of course, things can still change. And so let's see.
Want to hear a hot take? I think he's afraid of showing up in Turin and losing, and showing up in Turin and going out of the groups in brutal fashion. I think he's afraid of that. Like if he's not going to feel confident, if he's not going to feel comfortable about his game, he's not going to do it, because he's just going to be afraid of like exiting in a horrible manner. Like he's not the type of guy, because if Casper Ruud makes the ATP finals, he will show up even if he's like,
for sure.
Because it's too big for him, too big of an opportunity to pass up. Novak has done it a billion times before, so like if he doesn't think he can actually win it, he's not going to show up there.
Crazy. No, I mean, I think it's fair what you're thinking. I also agree. If he goes there because he is, confident that he can win and he can play well against the top players that will be there. So he if he's not in the best shape possible, I also think that he won't go.
And of course, the headliner of the Shanghai draw is Yannick Sinner. Anyone who can beat him here, by the way, basically all of the results in the top half today from the first round should already be there, but they're not. Anyway, he's going to play Taro Daniel in the second round. I mean, even with the potential fatigue from Beijing, there's probably going to it's probably going to be pretty easy for Yannick to make a run here. However, definitely have to point to this guy, even though he might be tired, Arthur Fils, and also Ben Shelton, who actually defeated him in Shanghai last year as a potential threat. I also think that if Medvedev would arrive in the quarterfinals in Shanghai to play Sinner, considering like some potential, Beijing fatigue, it would be a great chance for Daniel to beat Yannick potentially. So I think it's easy for Yannick to go on a run, but it might not be easy if he has to play Shelton round 4, Medvedev quarters.
Absolutely. Medvedev also needs to use these chances. He gets this, trying to beat these guys, at least if they are not, 100% fresh. So, let's see. I mean, the thing, whenever we judge, Sinner and Alcaraz draws, is that on paper, of course, they are, especially right now, big favorites against everybody they play. So, it's always, difficult. I know that best of 3, the chance that it can happen is maybe higher. We know how, some upsets maybe in best of 3 can happen a bit more often than maybe in best of 5. But still, their level is so high that it's difficult, of course, to imagine them losing even against great player like the one we see. So, of course, let's see. We cannot have a repeat in the final between Sinner and Alcaraz. We can have in the semi-final. Overall, I would say that even, if Yannick is favorite against the players you've seen, it's not an easy draw, because, there are tough players to face, still, for example, always for a top 4 seeds, having Medvedev in his quarterfinal, it's still not, a good draw, because even if he's won most of the meetings, Daniil is still probably the most dangerous one between the 5th, the 6th, the 7th seats. So, and again, let's see how Fils will be, if Shelton will be in good form. Let's see. It's a draw that can either be easy or difficult, because it will depend, of course, by Yannick himself and also by the opponent, because this is also opponent that, we are not sure they are going to play very well.
Yeah, Brazy, with your comment on Nakashima, you kind of reminded me that earlier there was a good opportunity for me to smoke the Americans when you said, which of you said would get to slam final? See my point. And that was about Fritz becoming a slam contender. And what I have to say that even though Taylor Fritz was in a slam final, he wasn't actually a slam contender. Boom. Anyway, next. When it comes to, as you already mentioned, Sinner and Alcaraz are in the same half. And, that's, of course, could happen very well. Is there any big threats you see in the Alcaraz section? I think there's certainly going to be a lot of exciting matches here. He's going to play Yuncheng Shang in the second round. That result, of course, also already happened. and potentially like Ibing War, Nicolas Jarry. Jarry has been such a tough matchup. Personally, I would love to see Alcaraz Wu. But it's also like, yeah, I still believe that Carlos should go pretty deep. Humbert could be tired after Tokyo himself. Cilic is already out. That could have been a fun round 4 if it happened. So I kind of like his chances. And obviously, unlike Sinner, who got Medvedev in his quarter, Alcaraz landed Ruud. So yeah, well, that's obviously much better on the courts in Shanghai at least.
Yes, I will even be very surprised if he gets to face Ruud in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this draw is a little bit less difficult. I don't know if I'm underestimating somebody. Yeah, I mean, I know there's been someone who has been able to trouble him in some conditions. Paul hasn't been a very easy matchup, even if Alcaraz has won these meetings this year. Let's also see, I have to admit that I haven't watched today from Shanghai, so I still have to watch how the court looks like, if it's, faster than in Beijing, if conditions are very, very similar. Probably this can maybe make the difference. Maybe some of these guys, for example, Humbert, can hope the court is much faster if he wants to trouble Alcaraz a little bit more, because if the court is kind of slow, I maybe don't see Humbert really being able to trouble Carlos. For example, for me, it's no surprise that Humbert has been able to do something very well at Wimbledon against Carlos. We know that Carlos is amazing at Wimbledon, won the last 2 in a row. But yeah, for me, it's not a coincidence that Humbert managed to find a very good moment in that match, being able to trouble him, while in Davis Cup this hasn't happened. So let's also see this. But yeah, I'm probably even more confident with Carlos, given these opponents. For example, if Medvedev, for example, is somebody who can beat Yannick in quarterfinal, if Yannick is also especially a bit fatigued from Beijing and Daniil plays a great match. Casper, that's a big difference in terms of the draws. Let's see. But yeah, I like Carlos' chances.
Yeah, and I think especially we need to talk about one more player. I mean, I don't think we're gonna really stick to Zverev too much. Of course, we're gonna see how he looks, and also, there are a lot of threats in his draw.
These draws are always the same.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's always the same.
Yeah. This is the guy I have to talk about.
Yeah.
Novak Djokovic. Any expectations for this one? I mean, personally, I remember saying after the Olympics that I wouldn't be surprised if at the US Open, he cannot, he literally won't be able to produce a comeback like he did against Jere in the 3rd round, because the hunger won't be there. And it was like that. But by Shanghai, I'm out of ideas. I mean, I just don't know. Literally, I have zero hunches anymore. There's nothing. My gut isn't telling me anything other than, Damian, you've eaten something an hour ago. Otherwise, my gut is very quiet today. So I literally have no clue. I don't think he would lose to Mikkelsen or Bu, to be honest. But after that, I mean, I guess I'm expecting a pretty decent Novak anyway. And even though, at the US Open, I had this feeling, maybe his motivation won't be quite as usual. Here, I just have completely no idea.
I actually, looking at the draw, there are a couple of... I'm not confident in the player until, between Tiafoe and Bu. I'm not really confident in these players to beat him if he is decent, especially.
How about these? Then? How about the top half of this quarter then? Also not really, right?
Not really, but at least, I don't know. There's somebody who can...
Operin, US Open.
Again?
I don't know. Oh yeah, they've been playing each other pretty close, right?
Maybe Popirin becomes like Sinner in 2023. And but yeah, I mean, I'm expecting, just talking about his level, the way he will play, I'm expecting a bit better for him than at the US Open. US Open, I was also kind of sure that he wouldn't have played well. Because we've been watching how much the Olympic win have taken out of him, and you know, there hasn't been that the time he needed, I pretty much think, in order to play, you know, to play great tennis. In the press conference after Davis Cup, he said, I will go where I'm really motivated to play. So probably he will be motivated to do very well here in Shanghai. I don't know, given that he's a place, for sure, especially in his career, won many times. Let's see. I'm expecting a bit better for him. I don't know if it will be enough, but for sure, I'm expecting something more.
Yeah, surely some exciting matches ahead as well. Sometimes we would see like Sinner right now, right? I mean, some of his early rounds are just not interesting because you know he's going to win and you kind of start caring only when the match is close. And that's just not the thing with Novak anymore. Like that aura is gone. Like he's going to be potentially, you're going to be watching every single match of his thinking, okay, let's see what happens. I'm really curious. I have no idea. So yeah, I think that obviously we just don't know really. And basically, this is very likely to be maybe even his last event of the season, maybe penultimate event of the season. So there's not going to be many chances here to watch Novak Djokovic and basically catch him while you can. And yes, Ghosty, you should totally watch that Wu against Jari match. I think it will be a cracker, provided Ibing doesn't get injured again mid-match. But today, limiting Sumit Nagal to just 2 winners. I hope that Snehi isn't in the chat, but Sumit Nagal was just outclassed today. Well, I think we've pretty much covered it all. Any final thoughts on Shanghai draw and maybe, I don't know, whatever really?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that, yeah, just talking a little bit about Shanghai. Of course, there are some interesting things to keep an eye on. Let's see, you know, after today, the thought, of course, that dominates pretty much everybody's mind when talking about the top players is, of course, that 2 guys are really above everybody else. So let's see if towards the end of the year there will be somebody, I don't know, who manages even at least to find some good run to maybe just trouble them, or if somebody else is able to win the Masters title. If not them, let's see. For sure, it's an important event for maybe every player beside Sinner and Alcaraz in terms of how we can judge their season, you know. So let's see what will happen. I'm expecting, you know, many players to really be motivated to do well.
And there's a special request for you from Ghosty. So
there's a Shanghai.
Beautifully done. I think this is a very good note to end on. Thank you, Mario. Thank you to everyone in the chat.
Thank you.
Sorry for whatever the issues today were. Hopefully they won't be there next time. And yeah, we'll see you guys in some time. Probably there's not. I think based on what we've been doing recently with these 1.5 week Masters, we're probably gonna wait for the next ATP Weekly until the end of Shanghai. So you're going to see us then in about 9-10 days. And also, of course, keep tuning into the channel. We have grown so many we have gotten so many subscribers over the last 2 weeks, really, maybe even a week. So yeah, let's keep working towards that. And of course, we're going to have some streaming from you over the course of Shanghai, as well over on the WTA side. I think the next WTA Weekly will be after Beijing. So also make sure to get
on Sunday, most probably.
And yeah, thank you guys as usual for spending your time with us. And well, yeah, we'll see you guys some other time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe.